All right, welcome to another episode of the Fatboy FadeAway Sports Podcast here Sunday morning, about 6:50 here, July 25th. Tyler, it's going to be a special podcast this morning.
Very special. I'm excited for this one.
Yeah, me too. We got the host of I Don't Know Sports, Mr. Savage on there. He's going to be coming on. We're going to be hopefully getting his takes on the NBA, thoughts on podcasting. He's from Memphis out there, so getting his maybe some thoughts on some good food out there and some other things. So yeah, should be a good one here. So we will have him on when we're back. All right, welcome back to the Fatboy FadeAway Sports Podcast. As you can see, we have our special guest below here, Savage, from the host of I Don't Know Sports Podcast, the sixth man, right, the Let's Be Real podcast, the maker of bootleg breakdowns, right? So he does it all. So how you doing, man? From Memphis, Tennessee, of course.
Yeah.
How you doing out there?
I'm doing good, man. It's a nice Sunday morning. It's hot. It's hot,
yeah,
but I'm good, man. Can't complain.
How hot is it out there right now?
It's,
around this time?
I think the heat index was like 106.
Holy smokes!
I don't know if y'all have been to like the southeast corner of the U.S., but it gets humid around this time, so it's even hotter. So yeah, it's hot here.
I don't think I've left the state of California in like 10 years. I haven't been out there at all, but I know living in California, especially Sonoma County, I feel like everybody's moving to Tennessee.
Yeah. I mean, hey, look, real estate is cheap out here, so it's a good time to move. At least in Memphis. I don't know about Nashville. Nashville's kind of expensive, but Memphis is like a hotbed for like cheap houses with like a lot of rooms and a lot of land on it. So.
Okay. Yeah, in Memphis, right? That's east of the state or west of the state, right?
The bottom left corner, right above Mississippi and right next to Arkansas.
And you grew up there, born and raised, or?
Born and raised, Memphis, Tennessee. Been here all my life. Went to the University of Memphis. I actually work for the University of Memphis now as well too. So I'm Memphis born and bred.
That's awesome, and that's kind of what I was telling Tyler is like that's why we kind of started this podcast, was to kind of eventually just kind of have people like yourself on, like kind of like you said, your podcast is I Don't Know Sports, because it's kind of, I love the way that you explained it on your podcast. The title of it, like, you know, just because I didn't play college sports, you know, I know nothing, and so I like that little sarcasm, little pun there with it, and that's kind of why we wanted to have you on you know, more people like you, is because it gives you a chance to, we all watch sports, and sometimes just because we don't play college sports, we don't get like that, you know, the same love, I guess, right?
Yeah.
So first question I kind of want to ask you here is, how did you fall in love with sports? When? How did it happen?
Well, basketball is my first love, as y'all probably know if you listen to the I Don't Know Sports podcast. I started playing basketball at the age of like, I want to say 3 or 4. I played basketball, played a little baseball. I was actually better at baseball growing up, honestly.
Okay.
I didn't like it as much as basketball. So I kind of stuck to it with that. I played football for like maybe one practice, and I did a slant route over the middle, got hit, and I was like, well, basketball it is.
Basketball. Smart decision.
Yeah. I'm like 6'3", and I'm like, back then I was like $160. So as you can imagine, I was a small football player. I was tall, but I was wiry, you know.
Gotcha.
Yeah, that receiver skill set.
Yeah, I did have, like, you know, as far as like the feet and like just the hand-eye coordination for football, but I never really like enjoyed playing as much as I love watching football, if that makes sense. But
Football is rough.
Basketball, that's like my first love, man. I played 2 guard. I was more of a shooter, a 3-and-D player. I wasn't really like a Kyrie handle the ball. I was like spot up shooter and play defense.
Okay. So
my first love.
That sounds good. Is Tennessee more? Would you consider it more like a football state, or is it more like a basketball? Like, where do you see? I'm always curious of that. Like, you know, California, I kind of consider it more of a baseball kind of than / basketball because of all the teams we got out here. So, I'm assuming Tennessee's a football state, but what do you think?
So, being from Memphis, we kind of disassociate with Tennessee, if that makes sense. Memphis is its own like state, we call it.
All right, I gotcha.
City of Memphis, this is like a hoop city, like through and through. Like basketball is king here. There are so many high schools like around the city of Memphis. There's like a high school a mile away from another high school. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
basketball is like king here. You have like, you know, Penny Hardaway, obviously, Lorenzen Wright, Andre Turner, a lot of University of Memphis legends, and then people who are from Memphis. Even with you guys being Warriors fans, like Ian Clark, he played ball here. Funny story about Ian Clark. I went to his high school my freshman year. He's a year older than me. And we had I think it was like a freshman versus varsity game. And Ian Clark, I knew at that point that he was playing in the NBA. Like he played at Belmont, and then obviously he played for you guys, the Warriors, and got a ring with the Warriors, I believe. But I knew then, like, oh yeah, this dude, he's going pro. I don't know when, but it's gonna happen at some point.
It's crazy when you can kind of see it like that too, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, it's right there. So you end up over at, so you ended up going to the University of Memphis then, right, too?
Yeah.
Over there. What years?
What years did you attend then?
Yeah.
I attended from 2010 to 2014.
Okay.
So what was the best team there? Did Will Barton play there during that time?
Yeah, Will Barton was there for 2 years. The best team during my time, we were kind of disappointed, to be honest. We had a local legend with Joe Jackson. I don't know if you guys know Tarek Black. He was there for a second. He played in the NBA for a second. We had Chris Crawford.
So you just missed the Calipari era.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Calipari left. I think I was in high school.
09?
That was 08 when they had Derrick Rose, I believe. 07, 08.
And were you still?
What are your?
Go ahead, T.
What are your thoughts on Calipari? As like were you like him still? You like resent him?
That's funny because if you're in Memphis, we don't do Calipari.
That's what I figured. I kind of figured that.
The thing about Calipari is, I mean, what he did for Memphis was huge as far as like continue to build the brand of Memphis basketball. I mean, the heritage runs deep for basketball, even going back to like Larry Finch back in like the 70s and the 80s. But Calipari, he brought a lot more people outside of the city of Memphis. So like, you know, Derrick Rose and Chris Douglas Roberts and those kind of guys. And that kind of brought us up a little bit more, you know, nationally. But how he left was very kind of shady, him going to Kentucky. And even to this day, he won't schedule us to play Kentucky. Even if they're better than us, he won't schedule us, you know. So yeah,
that's
but
funny.
Calipari, I mean, I don't really just hate Calipari. It's just kind of like by default, I have to hate Calipari.
Yeah.
And I'm assuming Derrick Rose is the best player that you guys have seen go through there, or is there somebody else you guys like? Because there's a few guys I like Douglas Roberts. I always liked his game. I always liked his shorts. I always liked those too. They always stood out, the long shorts.
I would say as far as like the modern era of basketball, Derrick Rose is definitely the most electric player.
Yeah.
Even though he hasn't really like come back to Memphis in terms of like for like an alumni game or to like donate money. And I think part of that is just the way that everything was handled by the NCAA. But you've seen guys like CDR and Willie Kemp and these other players that have come back to play locally and have given money to like the community. But Derrick Rose, I mean, if you guys ever seen like a Bulls, well, this is back in the day, Bulls versus Grizzlies game, when they introduce him, everybody cheers because like there's like prodigal son returning home type of thing.
So he's still beloved out there?
Oh yeah, no doubt. Even though he hasn't really like put on for Memphis, everybody loves Derrick Rose here. Like we hope that he comes to the Grizzlies at some point just to come play in the FedEx Forum again. So yeah.
Now, do you guys?
That actually would make a little bit of sense. Get him to back up Ja or come off the bench, get you some buckets.
Yeah.
That actually would be a nice little move there. So I'm assuming you went to a lot of games then.
Yeah.
When you were there.
Yeah.
College basketball is just not a thing out here in the Bay Area. It's just not. I mean, I can't even remember the last time Cal was relevant. That's the team I used to love growing up, and they used to like occasionally make it to like the Sweet 16, but not very often and stuff like that. Stanford occasionally had some good teams. What was that?
So Ty's a Wildcats fan, right? Arizona Wildcats.
Yeah, I had to move my allegiances to another state to find a team that actually mattered. Yeah, I'm a huge Arizona fan. I love them.
Yeah, so like I've only been to like one game here. It actually happened to be when Clay was at Washington State, so that was actually kind of a cool little moment when we were there. So is there like I'm curious because I do like college basketball. Like I love the atmosphere it brings. Yeah. Like that's the one thing I always kind of like about it. Is there like, so do you remember like any games or players or a game that stood out? Because you guys actually played some legit teams and legit games probably that were probably more exciting.
I think the one game, now when I was in college, we didn't have really any notable games because our team, it was kind of disappointing. They were good. It was disappointing. I do remember. Matter of fact, it was during the tournament. I think we played Derek Williams.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh my God, he destroyed us.
He was unreal that tournament.
He destroyed us, man. I remember sitting in like the little student restaurant, and we was like, man, who is this guy? And he went number 2, right, to Minnesota.
Yeah.
I think that got him the second pick overall. I think
Yeah.
that got him the second pick. He wasn't
like,
very good, obviously.
Not as good as he could have been, but like the one game I do remember is from the Derrick Rose year when we played Tennessee at home, and like Chris Lofton for Tennessee just like worked us, and it was a home game for us. But I think Tennessee was number 2 and we were number 1, so that was like the first time 1 versus 2.
Oh, I remember that. Yeah.
Was Tobias Harris there at that point
I don't
in
think
Tennessee?
so.
No,
think so.
that was before.
Yeah, I think it was Chris Lofton. It might have been like I can't think of anybody else on that team. I don't know if it was Scotty Hobson was there or not. But yeah, I remember Chris Lofton being good that year as a senior.
And now I've listened to your podcast and stuff like that many times, and it's my understanding, right, that while you were at the University of Memphis, you got to be a ball boy for the Grizzlies, or is that before or after?
That was my freshman to my sophomore year. Yeah. So that was.
How the heck did you get that? That's awesome.
So my mom knew somebody on the inside. So you know how networking works when you know somebody.
Yeah.
It's the best training day line, right? It's not what you did.
So she hooked me up with somebody on the inside, and I got a job. And so that was right around the beginning of like the grit and grind era. A lot of the Memphis fans here were kind of out on like Mike Conley. I think that was just like his 3rd or 4th year in the league. And I remember like working the preseason games. And I was like, Mike Conley looks good this year. And I was telling my friends, and you can ask them on LBR. They were like, nah, I don't know. It's Mike Conley. We could have kept Kyle Lowry. We could have started Vasquez or whatever, who got drafted, I think, that year. And we got the 8th seed that year and beat the Spurs that same year. So, and then Zebo was coming in, and he was embraced by the city. Marc Gasol was coming to his own. People were booing Hashim Thabit. That's my guy, Hashim Thabit. I love Hashim Thabit. He was me when I was there. But
yeah, was there a guy that spoke to you? Like you felt like was he the guy?
Yeah, that's my guy. Hashim Thabit's my guy. Like, if I see him, I'll dap him up. That's my guy.
Now
he was not good, but he was my guy.
And wasn't he? Well, how tall is he? Like 7'3"? Wasn't he like 7'3"?
7'3" and about 300 pounds.
Oh my gosh.
He was great in college though. Just didn't train. He was one of the best defenders I've ever seen. Like block shots playing college basketball, it just didn't translate.
Yeah, but
to the NBA.
Marc Gasol had way more skill. It was man.
Yeah.
So what if he was the nicest guy? Was there a guy out there where you're like, I better throw this, might make this a nice pass every time. I need to make sure I'm there. Is there anybody there that you had to be on your game for?
Man, Tony wasn't mean. Tony Allen wasn't mean. He was
He just looks. That's good.
Like, he played with like Garnett and Paul Pierce with Boston, so he had that mentality of like, I take this seriously. And so
the dog.
Every game at halftime, he would come out and he would run across like all the way across court, and he would go to like the left corner, and I would bring out like the ball rack, and I know that he wants to shoot like 20 shots from the left corner 3. And I don't know if y'all know Tony Allen's percentage from 3.
I saw the Warriors leave him open for a whole series.
Like literally would not guard Tony at all from 3. But he would throw the ball at him, and I'm like, this is an NBA player. I'm like 18, 19 years old. I'm a kid in college, and I'm like, I don't want to break Tony Allen's thumb throwing like a hard pass. And so I throw him like a regular pass. It wasn't too hard, but it was good enough, I thought. He was like, hey, man, throw the ball harder than that. And I'm just like, hey, all right.
Whatever you want, sir.
And so I threw the ball harder, and from that point on, it was kind of like a unintentional connection as far as like every time at halftime for like 41 games, the same routine would like happen. He'd run out to the corner. He's the first one out of the locker room every time. He runs to the corner. I bring the balls out. And I just throw them to him as hard as I could until he's satisfied with however many threes he made or missed or whatever.
So did you get to do like playoff games too then when they were there?
Mm-hmm.
Were you there with the Clippers? Were you there when the Clippers? They played the Clippers that year? Because wasn't that the dramatic series? Or no, what was the one they beat? The Thunder? The Spurs? That was the one I was.
Spurs.
This was the first year they
yeah.
beat the Spurs, and I don't know if it was like 6 6 games, 7 games. I don't know. No, it had to have been 6 games, I think.
I think it was 6.
Yeah. And
Sorry.
then I think the next series was we played Kevin Durant and the Thunder, and that series was crazy. That was like the best series I've ever seen in person. Like the finish form was as loud as I've ever heard it in my life. Like you literally could not hear yourself talk. It was so loud.
Awesome. My friend just got back from Memphis. We were actually playing basketball the other day, and he goes, "Yeah, I did." He goes, "There's actually Memphis Grizzlies fans there, so they don't get the love from out here." You know, I think that's kind of it's kind of a weird, a small market franchise. So you don't think about it all the time, but they have become more relevant over the time there. Hey, I wanted to get one last thought on you on college sports though, real quick before I move on to the NBA. What do you think about the players now being able to get paid?
It's long overdue.
Yeah.
It's overdue. I've said for a while that I wish that America would adopt like the European style of playing basketball, so that like people who are like 16, 15 years old, if they're good enough to play pro basketball, let them go play. I mean, you've seen, Luka Doncic, you've seen, Dirk, you've seen Sabonis, you've seen all these other players come out, and they're ready to play right now. Now, are they ready as far as like their physical, like their arms, their bodies? Probably not. But if you give them, professional training, then maybe they will be, better equipped to play. Because I mean, we see Luka average triple double, almost, and he's like what 20 years old, maybe. Like
That would be an interesting concept to see play out in the United States. I didn't even think about that.
You've seen it like start now with that. I think it's the overtime league they have with like high school age players getting paid. Now, not that everybody's going to play pro basketball at 16. It's not the case.
Yeah.
But I feel like there's a market for players like in y'all's case, James Wiseman. I watched him play, and I'm like, yeah, why is he here? Why is he playing high school basketball?
He's kind of more of a waste of time for him, right? In a sense,
right. Yeah. Like, come on, man. Like, let him go up and play. Like, what are we doing?
Yeah, I think I'm kind of curious how it plays out with like the others in terms of that with like if a player like that guy from Alabama, like right, like does it dictate where you now go to school because you have more opportunity?
Quarterback you're talking about?
Yeah, the quarterback there. Like, just how does that change the element of like, maybe would have gone to this school, but if I can go here, I can already make $1 million. Like, why? So just kind of curious how that's all going to play out and the motivation of the players that get paid. And I mean, I would think school would take a very back seat in some of these cases too. Like, do I want to go to a shoot to make money or do I want to go to my economics class? I mean, you know what I mean? So I'm kind of curious how it plays out with college sports long term.
I think we're kind of seeing that now with the G League. I mean, we already have Jalen Green, who's top 3 recruit, and like the other guy, I can't think of his name. It's like I don't know his name, but he went, and I just feel like more players are going to keep doing this if they're going to get paid, and they're still getting drafted top 3 like Jalen Green will be. So
2 or 3 in the latest mock draft. Like he's still
so like.
It's
just nice for these guys who are good to get paid before when they can be. Like, why should the school make all the money off these guys?
Now I'm a little worried for little league parents though. Now, I mean, now that their kid just has to get to college to get paid, it's gonna amp it up even more. That's the only thing I think we'd find interesting there. Hey, let's take just a quick second break. We'll be back. We'll get your thoughts on the NBA here. All right, we're back. With Savage here, the host of I Don't Know Sports here. Let's move on to the NBA. I loved your last podcast because I've listened to all of them, and I was like, man, I like the emotion that he's having about his basketball here. He's really. I was like, he's really going. You were strong with it. I know my basketball. The rest of you shut your mouth and do your role. So I like that a little bit. It was good. And especially, we love the passion, especially because Tyler is a fan of Arizona. The DeAndre Ayton thing, that was cracking me up, man, the whole week. It just was. So let's just start there with the NBA. That was obviously the last part here. I got a few other things for you. Thoughts on the finals, Giannis, and then your boy Ayton. Just got all that in general.
So the finals, I mean, I knew that Phoenix was not ready. I mean, them getting to the finals in the first place was kind of a miracle anyway, because so many injuries had happened. And I mean, that's part of the game, to be honest. Like, it's not like luck per se, but they were graced to be in the finals with Lakers having injuries and then Denver not having Jamal Murray and then the Clippers losing Kawhi. And then at some point you get to the finals, it's like, okay. So one, I think it was good experience for Devin Booker and for DeAndre Ayton to get that like experience in the postseason. Like, that's significant right there. But on the other side of it, you got Milwaukee, who, I mean, it was just leaps and bounds, in my opinion, a better team, just clearly a better team. Giannis was coming back from that hyperextension. So the first 2 games was like, I kind of expected them to lose those games. You know, I was like, they'll lose because Spence gonna serve home court and then go to Milwaukee, and Milwaukee won 4 in a row at that point. Middleton kind of was prepped to be that dude from the Atlanta series, having to score like 40 points. Drew Holiday finally showed up when they needed him most. And so I wasn't surprised that it was Bucks in 6. I was like, I knew it was going to happen.
Then you called that.
That's
for sure.
And then as far as like DeAndre Ayton, again, this guy's like 20, 21 years old. Like he's young. I have no ill will towards Ayton at all. Like I literally do not. Like I feel like he's gonna be an all-star big man by default. Like I mean, he's 7 feet tall. He's gonna get 15 rebounds a game. He's gonna score 20 points at some point. I mean, we've seen that from like Andre Drummond. We've seen that from other players who, because they're tall, they're able to get the numbers. You know what I'm saying? But when it came to James Wiseman, like I've seen him up close, and I'm like, oh yeah, that's a high ceiling as far as his skill set. Like the man can dribble, he can shoot. He hasn't played basketball since high school all the way through. And at the games that he did play in college, I was just like, we're gonna win the whole thing this year. NCAA came in, was like, nah, that's a whole nother story. I won't get into that story.
Did they ever punish Memphis for that, or was it ended up just, or what happened with that?
You know what's funny is we haven't heard anything about that at all. We were kind of waiting to see if something was going to happen, but they haven't punished Penny. They haven't punished the program, and it's kind of like disappeared, to be honest. I'm sure something was at this point, like a fine or whatever, but like we haven't heard. I mean, we're still getting recruits, and
yeah. You guys are still doing well.
Yeah, so I feel like they're probably just like, it's so far gone that it's like whatever, just give them a slap on the wrist, and just kind of move forward. But yeah, like Wiseman, the whole Wiseman Ayton thing, they're both gonna be good players. Like let's be real, they're gonna be good players. I just felt like Wiseman, if he reaches his potential, it's still up for debate. Like that part is still up for debate. But if he does what he's supposed to do, from what I've seen, he can be like an Anthony Davis type player. I mean, comparable with like the injuries or whatever. But I feel like he has the skill set to be like a 30-point scorer, a 20 rebound getter type player. But he has to do what he has to do. That's the main thing with James Wiseman.
So you're saying if you were the Warriors, which is a big topic out here, you would not trade him?
I mean, it depends. It depends.
Can I give you a scenario? Let's say it's Beal. Say it's Beal for Wiseman in the 7th pick. Maybe they have to add another like Wiggins in there too or something
for contract.
I just feel like I don't need Bradley Beal. I have Clay.
Yeah, that's kind of.
I agree. I don't really want him to go get Beal at all.
Yeah, I honestly don't, like you mentioned, Darren. Like I don't know what y'all could trade Wiseman for and feel like you're getting something that helps in some capacity. Because I mean, you're getting your scoring from Clay and Steph. Yeah. Draymond is anchoring the defense. You've got decent young players. Like I saw a game where I think Poole like went crazy, and I'm like, Poole is a nice player. Like I like Poole.
Yeah.
So I don't know what you can trade to get fair value. I don't know.
That's my trouble with the Warriors here. Is like I don't really like if they trade Wiggins, I'm like, well then I want Wiggins still. Like you know what I mean? Because we're gonna need a wing, and then it's like if we trade Wiseman, we're gonna then need a young big again. So I don't really see a great trade out there unless it's just like. There's no Anthony Davis. Like that's who they need. They need a big. So that's the thing with it there. So real quick, back to the finals, though, the Bucks. That has got to be the most frustrating team though on earth though for me to watch. Like I don't get it, man. Like I don't know why they're so frustrated. Me, Giannis is like to me. I always say he's like a modern day Shaq. They finally seemed to turn it on that like last 2 games, but they were frustrating as heck to watch that whole playoffs here. I have no idea how they won. They should have, but it was like a struggle to get there. Yeah. I guess that's the first championship, how it works.
I think it's just the fact that one, Giannis can't really shoot. He's taking a lot more threes this year.
Yeah, why do you do that? I get pissed every time he shoots it.
In the finals, you limited it to 2 a game at least. You would always go 0 for 2, and it was at least it was like 1 for 8 or whatever.
Yeah,
even
like last year against Atlanta, I was like, stop shooting! Like, what are you doing?
I mean, all I know is this: I'd be backing 40 feet off. I'd be like, yeah, please shoot that.
If he makes it, it's like, amen, God bless. There's nothing I can do about that, man.
Here's my theory on the Bucks for next year, and then we'll move on to something else. I think their next season. I have a feeling because I feel like they're going to get a little hate this offseason, kind of like the Warriors did in 2015, just a little bit. Like maybe like the Nets were hurt, the Lakers weren't fully healthy or something like that. I think they're going to have a massive.
All facts, by the way.
I think they're going to have a massive year next year. That's just my kind of hunch. I think they're going to come back more to prove. Is kind of my thing. I don't know if that means they win the championship, but I feel like they'll have a pretty good regular season next year.
I think Brooklyn's going to be tough if they can come back healthy. But that's the thing with them is like Kyrie is always getting hurt. Kevin Durant tends to have those nagging injuries, and Harden. I still have yet to see Harden play consistently well in the playoffs. So. But
yeah, he hasn't done it.
Hey, he helped us win a couple championships. We thank him very much for that. I got some with the NBA. I thought it's kind of funny that you being from Memphis, the Warriors Grizzlies have kind of had this weird little playoff kind of matchup the last 5 years. Like there's not like a rivalry. I'd say there's a mutual respect. I feel like between the fan bases. I'd say in a way because I know you guys scared the hell out of me in 2015 because you guys could post up and stuff and you get your defense and stuff like that. Just kind of your thought of that 2015 year. Is there any resentment there with that, or because you guys won this year, are we good? Are we good because of you guys winning this year?
I've been on wax to say that I feel like if we had healthy Mike Conley, healthy Tony Allen, we could have won that series. But I mean, I'm not in the business of what ifs. I'm in the business of what is, and what did happen was that you guys won that series. So that's what it is.
Yeah.
I don't think it's a secret that year, that 2015 team was a different animal in terms of like Mike Conley was like finally in his prime. Tony was first team all defense, as he said.
Oh, he let us know about it. He let us know.
And Zebo and Mark were hitting their groove, and that year it was a good year. But then like afterwards, like the coaching kind of just blew everything up with the front office, and then I believe it was Dave Yeager that year. I don't know where he is right now. I like Yeager as a coach, but I mean he kind of was fiery against the front office. But yeah, I mean
I like some Yeager bombs.
Right. That year was kind of just like an indicator that as a city, as a team, like this team is like a legit team as far as like the front office and just like the development of the players around that team. Like that was just a turning point to where we are now with like having Ja Morant and having Jaren Jackson and having these other players come here and then play well, going forward. So it kind of set the foundation for where the Grizzlies are right now, I think.
I guess Tyler went off. I guess hopefully he'll jump back on here in a second. Is Morant? I'm curious your thoughts. Is he beloved there already? What's the feeling on him out there?
They left him when he got drafted, like because he fits the culture of the city. Like he understands like what it means to come from like a blue collar town. He's from South Carolina, so he's from like a comparable background as far as the city of Memphis. And Memphis is like I say, it's hoop city. If you love basketball, we love you. And Morant loves basketball. He's ingrained in the community. He's ingrained with like the hip hop culture. He looks like a Memphian. Like it just fits so well for Ja Morant and for the Grizzlies.
Now the Grizzlies, I always compare to the Raiders linebacker situation. This is a weird comparison, but hang with me here. I always complain on Twitter the Raiders have never had a good linebacker in my lifetime. I mean, Greg Beaker. Do you know who that is? No, he's like That's the last Pro Bowl guy they've had. That was a good one. I always feel like the Grizzlies never have a good small forward. Like I know Rudy Gay was like right there, but I feel like it's a position they never could like solve.
Man, yes. Like even now, I mean, Kyle Anderson, it's kind of a conundrum right now with like, what do we do with Kyle Anderson? Because I don't know if they want to start Ja, Dylan Brooks, Kyle Anderson, Jaren, and then Valanciunas. That's a very big and slow lineup. I don't know if they want to do that or not. We were supposed to see if Justice Winslow was that guy, but I mean, I don't know if you guys saw Justice Winslow game last year. I'm not a fan. I'll pass on that.
I felt like he never played.
He played like 7 games, and then when he played, he was terrible. He had like one game against Houston, and then aside from that, he can't shoot. He turned the ball over so much. They tried him at backup point guard. That was terrible.
That sounds terrible. That sounds awful.
Yeah, I don't understand it. But like Rudy Gay was supposed to be that guy back in 2011, and he had the shoulder injury. But I'm trying to think of the last good small forward. I don't know if we consider Mike Miller a small forward.
I guess you're right. Yeah, you never had an all-star, really, basically, is my point. It's kind of like the Raiders at Pro Bowl. And I feel like that's the position you still need to this day, to go to that next level there. So are you more Lakers or Grizzlies, though? So if they played in the Western Conference Finals, I mean, you're going to FedEx Forum. Are you wearing the Lakers jersey or are you wearing the Grizzlies jersey?
Now you put me on the spot.
We asked a tough question.
Right. So growing up, I was so we didn't have the Grizzlies here when I was young. Like they came here like 2000, 2001, I believe. And so by then I had already established like I was a Lakers fan because my mom was a Magic Johnson fan. My dad was a Magic Johnson fan. So that's all that we watched was Lakers. And so I think 2001, we weren't good until like 2004 or 5. And even then, we got swept every year in the playoffs. So we didn't win a playoff game until 2010. And I was just kind of like, I don't like losing. So I'm just like, and then I like Kobe. Like Kobe was my favorite player growing up, obviously. But I would say, if you ask me now, I root more for the Grizzlies because of like one, just the hometown connection. Two, I'm able to actually go to games. I can afford a game at the FedEx Forum and not Staples Center.
Especially with a flight.
Right. I would say more Grizzlies than Lakers. Yes.
Gotcha. Okay. All right. So let's take one last final break there, and then we're gonna finish it up with a little special thing we always do here on the Fatboy FadeAway podcast. Is a bonanza, an 8-question bonanza here. So we'll be right back with our final segment. All right, final segment here with our special guest here. Thanks again, man. Like I said, for coming on, giving your perspective on basketball and stuff. So I got some these are going to be some sports questions, maybe a little controversial questions, for you here. And I know Tyler's got a few as well. So I'll take the first one here. This is a basic one. We'll get you started out easy here. On Twitter, you've been telling me or been tweeting that you've been watching the Marvel series, right? You're working your way through it. Where are we at on that?
Loki is next and Black Widow.
Okay, so you've made it through most of the series now. Favorite of the movies? One that you go to. What's the favorite one there?
Of the entire MCU?
Yeah, I gotta know. What one do you like? I like Iron Man. That's always my first one.
I love the Guardians of the Galaxy, man. Like I just love like the story. I love the characters. I feel like it pulls you in from start to finish. Like that's like my favorite series, well, along with Cap, obviously. But I think Guardians, just for what it is. If I were to go to the movies, I want to go see like action, comedy, and like all the good, vibrant colors, all that good stuff. So yeah, I'm gonna say Guardians.
Well, now you got a new baseball team to root for as well. So go ahead, T. You got one?
Being from Tennessee has a pickup line. You're the only 10 I see ever work.
No.
I figure doesn't work out here either. But just wanted to maybe
have better luck in there with it. Why the hell are you an Eagles fan?
So growing up, I played basketball, and so the AAU team that I played with, everybody was like Mike Vick fans. And growing up, it was like maybe like I want to say 4 black quarterbacks. It was like Mike Vick, Dante
McNair,
and Mcnabb. And so I was like, everybody's a Mike Vick fan. I don't want to be a Mike Vick fan, even though I love Mike Vick. He played with the Eagles. And then the Titans, I was like, because my first Super Bowl I watched was Titans versus Rams, and you guys know what happened, 1 yard short, heartbreak. And I was like, I don't like losing.
You don't like losing.
I was like, it was just because I'm an Eagles fan. And then the Vikings, I didn't like the Vikings. And so green's my favorite color. I like McNabb. And I was like, sure, I'll be an Eagles fan. So it was just random. It was very, very random how I became an Eagles fan. But we lost a whole lot in the conference championships.
Yes, you did.
Most notable to the Buccaneers and
Rondé Barber.
Rondé Barber running down the sideline to this day gives me nightmares. But yeah, it's
4th and 26 or 4th and what was the Brett Favre play? That one trying to bring up 4th and something.
Yeah, 4th. It was very long. Yeah. So, yeah.
So
it's not good because we won a Super Bowl finally, but we still got to figure out what Jalen
with
Hurts.
Nick Foles, out of all people, out of all the good quarterbacks they've had, you win it with Nick Foles.
I am not a Nick Foles fan at all. Like I like him for winning Super Bowl, but I was like, all right, he won. Trade him now. Like
Get him out of here. Move on. So is Mcnabb your favorite Eagles player? I'm assuming, or you got somebody else? T.O.?
I'm gonna say Dawkins.
That's a good one.
Man, that's a good question. Like,
I mean, you guys have had good players. The Eagles have good
Dawkins is a different animal.
Yeah.
That guy was.
The visor. I like the visor. I always like the visor.
I
Or was
was-
that Vincent? Maybe. Was
No,
that
that was
Vincent?
Dawkins.
Was that Dawkins?
Dawkins.
Didn't you have a guy? Wasn't there a cornerback Vincent there too? The Eagles.
Troy Vincent.
Troy
Yeah,
Vincent?
Troy Vincent.
Yeah. So the Eagles. That's how you became the Eagles fan there. Yeah, you guys are always usually pretty competitive. The last couple of years, not as. I've heard a lot of complaining from you on there. So hopefully you have a little better year this year with it. Most beloved athlete or celebrity from Memphis?
Most beloved athlete.
Like, or somebody like everybody kind of goes to. That's the.
It's got to be Elvis, right?
What's funny, like nobody in Memphis likes Elvis. Like,
Oh, really? It's like
a
F
funny
Elvis.
theme in Memphis is that nobody who is from Memphis has ever went to Graceland. I've never been to
That's
Graceland. Never been.
That's funny.
It's,
Okay.
it's funny. It's funny. I'm gonna say athlete. I want to say Penny Hardaway. I'm gonna say Penny. I think Penny is the most beloved athlete.
Makes sense. So that's why. Did they just go ahead, T?
No, keep going if you have something. Who's
No.
bigger, Young Dolph or 3-6 Mafia?
Man, depends on who you ask. I'm gonna say 3-6 Mafia personally because, like, I mean,
I go 3-6 Mafia. but-
yeah, I'm gonna go 3-6 Mafia. Like Dolph, like I don't. I think 3-6 is like is. I mean, some people say Yo Gotti, but I'm gonna say 3-6.
All right, a few more here. Who has the biggest fan base there in Tennessee? You got the Grizzlies, the Titans, right? You got the Vols, you got the Tigers. Who is it?
It's
Who?
Tiger. Like you will see more of the M with the leaping tiger than now. I will say that the Grizzlies have come up, but
Yeah.
like the Tigers is like our professional team. Like that's like it's kind of like Alabama, like with the Crimson Tide. It's like no, it's Tigers basketball reigns supreme over anything else. Like if you ask everybody in the city, we won a national title before NBA
Well,
finals.
Now, how about the state of Tennessee? Are the Titans over everybody?
The Predators?
That's a good question. If you go on social media, the Grizzlies have way more followers than the Titans on Instagram, on Twitter. I don't know. I think it's a tie between Grizz and Tiger. I mean,
Interesting. See, I would have thought Titans from California here. I would have thought Titans for sure. Go ahead, T.
I forgot what I was going to say.
All right.
Oh, who's the best Memphis football player? Deangelo Williams? This Antonio Galloway guy? The kicker from the Patriot, Goskowski? Paxton Lynch?
Now, as far as like Memphis, like at Memphis, people would argue Brady White. I would argue Paxton Lynch because I would take Paxton over anybody like playing. Like, give me Paxton Lynch to win a football game. Brady White was kind of frustrating as quarterback, and he's not even been picked up by a roster. Like Paxton was a first round pick. Shouldn't have
Yeah, I
been.
don't even know who Brady White is, to be honest.
But Brady White, he had the most touchdowns, most yards, most wins by a Memphis Tigers quarterback. I'm gonna go Paxton, but I think like as far as like an NFL player, I mean, people say Isaac Bruce.
Oh, he went to Memphis?
Yeah,
I didn't even see him in my research.
yeah,
All right. He has to be the best, I'd imagine,
yeah, Isaac Bruce. Yeah,
from the guys I named.
now we have had a lot of running backs come out in recent years. Like I think we have one on almost every NFC East team.
Yeah, you have the Redskins guy or the football team guy.
How dare you?
Pollard, Gainwell, and now the Giants got to get somebody next year. I don't know who they're gonna get. Probably I don't know. But yeah.
If I'm going to Memphis, where am I eating?
So you want barbecue? You want wings? What you want?
Yeah, we want barbecue for sure. I want barbecue for sure. I'm going.
Barbecue. I personally would say A&R Barbecue. There's one on Elvis Presley. There's one on Ridgeway. Don't go to Rendezvous Barbecue. That's like the national spot. Rendezvous. Don't do Rendezvous. You can do Central. You can do Neely's. As far as wings, Wing Guru is good. Chings is okay. Crumpies. I mean, food is good here, man. Like if you go
I know
here,
That's what I've heard.
that's what I hear. I know. I was thinking, I was like, barbecue's probably like, Mexican food out here. Like every place you go, there's like a taco shop here, every taqueria there. All right, I got two more for you. If you kind of got into it earlier, if you had to describe your basketball game, and what player you like? Come on, well, you said tall lefty here. What are we? Who are we here?
now some people say differently. Some of my old teammates say Lamar Odom because I can get rebounds too. I can handle
Yeah.
not like and one mixtape. Man, okay. I'm trying to think of a lefty. Some people feel like
somebody
You
had
don't got to be a lefty. He can be a righty.
Yeah,
The game translates.
I would honestly say like kind of like a Reggie Miller.
I like it.
Miller. I'm trying to think of like a point forward type though.
Well, that's nicer than I have a friend that's a lefty. I compared him to Morris Peterson. He never liked that one. He was always offended by that.
I'm gonna say Lamar Odom because like I'm able to play on the block, but I'm also able to like run point too. So I'm gonna say Lamar Odom more than Reggie.
Did you say you played in high school?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
I feel like we have similar games.
This might be the most controversy you get out of this question here. Who's the best athlete on the Let's Be Real podcast? And we'll include you in that one as well.
Okay.
Or if you have a sport that you kind of feel like you guys all play. Who are you taking number one there, sir? Who are you taking there?
If it's basketball, I'm taking me.
All right, well, who's number two?
If it's basketball, I'm taking me because they'll tell you a story about when we played intramural in college, and I was like going crazy, and then the shortest guy on the LBR roster didn't pass me the ball in overtime, well before overtime, holding us. But football,
you went Kevin Durant on Draymond Green on him.
Yeah, right.
Give me the damn ball.
Well, football, I'm gonna go Shark. Shark is the football player on the team. I didn't play football. I played like one practice now. Shark played in high school, so I'm gonna go Shark.
Yeah. So Shark be the guy there. All right, I got one. Tyler, you got any more? I got one more.
Yeah, I got one more. Being the Fatboy FadeAway podcast, what's your last meal?
My last.
You gotta eat that. Cooked by whoever you want to cook it.
So my last meal before I die, or?
Well, it doesn't matter. I don't want to go that like
we'll keep
crazy, but like your favorite meal.
My favorite meal. My wife makes a good lasagna, so I'll go lasagna all day long. Lasagna with some broccoli or some Brussels sprouts and garlic bread. Yeah.
All right, last one here, and we'll get you out of here. Obviously, you're a new dad as well, so congratulations on that. How old is your daughter now?
She is 2 months and some change. So
all right, congratulations.
Appreciate
it. I'm assuming you're lacking maybe a little sleep here and there once in a while. You're probably doing the midnight bottle runs once in a while, cleaning them out and stuff. Biggest challenge so far you faced and most exciting part about being a new dad?
Oh, biggest challenge, getting her to sleep by herself.
No doubt.
She doesn't like to sleep by herself, which is fine. We're good now. Most exciting part is to just see yourself in your daughter because like I see like her mom's eyes, then I see like my head shape in her and I'm just tripping off of it. Also just the consistency of like how she acted when she was in the womb and like how she acts now. I'm like, this is like the same person. Like that's crazy to me. Just seeing her grow is like the most exciting part, I think, for me.
That's awesome. Well, man.
One last quick question for me. USA just lost to France in the Olympics. Yeah, they lost 83, 76, and 78 or something. They still gonna win the gold.
Wow.
There's no way.
This is embarrassing.
I don't know.
Rudy Gobert. He came up huge, probably. Rudy.
Wow.
Nick Batum.
Nick Batum. He's like 40.
I'm gonna say no. I'm gonna say no.
Yeah, I'm gonna say no. I'm gonna say that. I mean, they'll get like bronze, maybe. I'm gonna say bronze.
Look at the bronze.
I'm holding out. I'm holding out hope. We have the most talent. Figure it out.
Well, Draymond will get hot from three. I feel it. All right, we'll go there.
I'm not buying that one, man.
Hey, thanks for coming on, man. Again, host of the I Don't Know podcast, out usually Monday mornings, correct? So thanks for coming on, taking some time out of your day and doing this with. Really appreciate it.
So man, I gotta get y'all on for IDK at some point. So I'll hit y'all up to get y'all on IDK.
That sounds good,
Thank
man.
you.
You have a good rest of the day out there. We'll talk to you soon. All right.
Stay cool.
Later.
No doubt.
All right.
All right, we're back here. Final segment here on the Fatboy
That was
FadeAway
fun.
Sports Podcast. Dude, that was a lot of fun. Again, appreciate you, Savage, for coming out on the podcast here, giving us your insight. I don't know, that was good. I enjoyed it.
He's good. He knows what he's doing. He's good at what he does.
I know we forgot to get into him about his Twitter game though. We always feel like he's unreal at Twitter. So we forgot to ask like who's in the background doing it all the time. So maybe for the next time we'll have.
Does their wife have a burner Twitter?
Yeah. Somebody has to have somebody's paying somebody on the side. We forgot to get into talk to him about that. But yeah, that was good. What are you up to the rest of the day here? Watching the Giants to the Pirates again?
Yeah, hopefully we get one. We got big series coming up. We got the Dodgers and the Astros. Hey, any Giants fans out here going to AT&T? Let's boo the Astros, make a thing of it.
I think that would be.
I feel like they're getting off so easy.
They are.
Go out there, boo the shit out of them, make some signs, give them hell.
Get them out of there. Hey, the draft is also this Thursday, NBA draft. So that's there might be some trades here that we might have to be able to talk about next week on Sunday.
Yeah.
So, we'll definitely, we might even we've been doing the reaction podcast after. Maybe we'll do a little one after the NBA draft if we feel it's necessary there. And I guess we'll find out if there's a trade. That will be the day, right? That's probably what we'll find out if something's in the works.
Hopefully Clay doesn't tear an Achilles before 6 hours before.
That's really all that matters. So again, I think that was one of my favorite podcasts there so far, and can't wait to get it out here. And yeah, all right, guys, we'll talk to you next week. Peace.
Thank you.